Midnight on Earth podcast with your host, Jake Weaver. Engineered by Cedric Swan. Hey everybody, we are back with another episode of Midnight on Earth. I'm your host, Jake Weaver, and we're here to bring you more knowledge, more lights, and more love, and more really good information. We have two guests on the show today. David Starr and Francesca Rose are here to talk about their latest book release, Your Higher Power, Accessing Your Divine Gifts. So really cool title already. It's like, wow, you're interested just by listening to that, but we're going to talk to them, but I need you to do something for me before that. Follow me on Instagram at midnight_on_earth. That is the address. You can follow me there. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you go to get your podcasts, click that button that connects us so you know exactly what is going on. When these people come on with so much good energy to share with you, you get that notification instantly. And lastly, tell a friend, tell someone that you know that loves these type of podcasts that, hey, perhaps you feel like they need this information, you know? If that's the case, that's okay. Bring them here, midnightonearth.com. Okay, so we're about to talk to David and Francesca, but I'm going to read David's bio, and then Francesca is going to tell us a little bit about herself. So here we go. David Starr is a spiritual mentor and consciousness trainer, helping people understand the power of their consciousness and the source within them. David leads his followers in clearing out negative emotions and limited beliefs while assisting them in discovering the divinity within. He is passionate about helping people heal their past trauma and understand more about themselves and their place in the universe. As the founder of DavidStarrUnlimited.com, he created a variety of consciousness advancement courses to help people find their divinity and learn how to become masters of their own energy. These courses include spiritual hygiene, embodiment of a master, the master's journey, which is all a part of the Unity series, a consciousness expanding course. And Francesca, please tell us a little bit about yourself and your relationship with David.
Hi, everybody. I'm Francesca, and I'm the all having a human experience as Francesca. I'm an interdimensional channeler. I am a writer, poet. I'm a source consciousness teacher and a mystic. And how I know David, we met 6 years ago on Facebook, and he threw an energy ball out at me, and I'm like, whoa, who is this wizard? And I got to know him over the years, and we just became the best of friends, and we decided to do the book together.
Isn't that amazing when you find people that you're like matching frequencies, but it's not even like in the 3D physical world? I've heard dozens, if not hundreds of stories of that. And I think that's one of the miracles of our digital age. So thank you for being here, Francesca. And I just want to say one more thing about David. David is the founder of the Divine Ray app, a social networking tool for spirituality available on Apple's App Store and Google Play, designed as a high vibration social media platform where creators can tune into divine wisdom. That's really cool. Well, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate you being here today.
It's amazing. Can't wait to see this amazing activation we're going to do for your audience today. But I've got some information about it, and it's pretty exciting.
Okay, well, I want to hear a little bit about your guys' story. So we have a lot to talk about, and we have plenty of time. So tell me what happened. I know that in your book, you talk about how you had a near-death experience at 10 years old. Can you tell us about that? What happened there?
It was the strangest thing, but I got thrown into a wall, essentially. We were down to the last bowl of soup, and my brother even though I claimed it and I was there at this time, our family didn't have a lot of resources. So my brother barges in, he wants it, he's about 10 times the size of me at the time, even though that we're a 6 year gap, he's just huge. Threw me right over the shoulder, bam, straight into a corner of a wall, 144 stitches, 72 on the inside,
Oh my
72 on the outside,
God.
from end to end, and everything goes black. And then I have this awareness, and it's the strangest thing, but all of a sudden there's this like pink and purple galaxy, which is not like maybe as close to Andromedan or something in comparison that I've seen. I still don't know to this day which galaxy this is, but I'm in this starlight as this golden star energy, and I'm being shown the first 20 years of my life. So at this point, I'm 10, and I'm seeing all these monitors of memories of my brothers, my sister, my dad, my mom growing up, 10, 20, and then friends and different people I was going to be meeting. And all these monitors, there is like maybe 30 monitors of these TV screens of memories that I was going to experience. So, of course, the first 10 years I recognized, but then I got from 10 to 20, and then this cosmic kind of father voice asked me if I want to accept this life. And I said, wow, this is a pretty tough life, it looks like. And he said, well, it gets better after 20. And that's the end of it, essentially. And I accepted it. And then all of a sudden I come back into Traumaville with blood everywhere, got rushed off to the hospital. And then I I'd wear a helmet on my head for about 6 months of my life after that point, and I wasn't allowed to return to school or any activities for about 3 months. And so in that time, I'm reflecting on this experience and realizing, okay, it's like I feel like I was brought into my pre-life because memory, and what confirmed it for me later was all of the things that happened from 10 to 20 I had already seen. And so I was
Wow.
always in constant deja vu from 10 to 20. It was the craziest, it was the weirdest thing, always knowing who was going to show up, different people that were going to be coming, and like, oh, I remember this is going to happen.
Was it
It
always
was
a deja vu scenario where like you would remember
so
after the
weird,
fact,
man.
or was it preemptive
No,
enough to where you could act on it?
just before, it would just shock, like it would just be like, okay, I know what's going to happen. It
Oh,
was so weird,
wow.
and it would happen. And so it confirmed with me that this was a real experience. And but when I was 10, I was processing things kind of simplistically, but it was essentially I was like, okay, so there's more to life than just this life, and then I'm connected to this star energy, and then but then I was wondering, like, is everybody stars, and where was this? So I started researching it like later on in life once I had all these confirmations, and the closest thing I could find that looked like this galaxy was the Andromedan galaxy, but I still don't know for sure if that was it because it had very beautiful pink and purple galaxy light in there and stuff. So
But it unlocked a pre-birth memory, like star consciousness. You were able to connect with that, your oversoul perhaps, but just something before your life as you are now.
right, exactly. And then at 17, I overheard my mom and my sister talking about white light because they're white witches in a way, but they're not really like white witches, but they know about energy, and I'm listening to them on the porch talking about this. So I go into the basement and I start visualizing this white light coming out of my hands, and I feel a tingling at first, and then all of a sudden it shoots out of my fingers like up into the higher frequency, higher realms, heavenly realms, wherever, and my whole hand is energized, and this I could feel this white light streaming. So then I did the other hand, and then this white light connection between my two hands, and then it seemed like it got some attention because after that, then I started getting like galactic beings coming and visiting me, and weird things like showing me like these elite families that have these secret societies that change history, that are enslaving the human race, and that you're here for a mission to break out of this and stuff. And then I saw all their faces. I even know a lot of the names. I just won't broadcast it because there's
Sure,
no point in
sure.
talking about it. But and how the whole history was rewritten. And then I would have cool encounters being shot out of my body on ships and talking to terrestrials that way. Right, that moment of where you go to sleep, but you're not sleeping, and your astral body, out of body experiencing happens, and angelic encounters. That was cool. Early on, like seeing angels and feeling the intensity of their unconditional love, and knowing that this true love exists, and there's this magical realm of pure love that is out there somewhere that these angels come from, and all those kinds of different experiences. And so I thought a lot of people had similar experiences, but as I started talking to them about my friends, and everybody just sort of at first thought I was crazy, but then it just became it totally integrated this oneness and this unity. And I had music and a band, and it just came out in the music. And
Wow.
my friends accepted me for it. I was lucky in that way.
So, do you feel like the accident was the catalyst? Perhaps it tweaked some biological filter that allowed you to process some more of that information. I'm thinking about this American who had gotten an accident. He was actually almost murdered. He was clubbed over the head, but then that allowed him to see the three-dimensional geometry of reality on the daily and get some insight into that. I don't know if you've heard of that story, but is that something that you feel as well? The tragic situation, it's very negative that happened in that way, but what you got out of that accident or that situation, that traumatic situation, was the ability to process more of that information and bring it into 3D. Is that the case?
I feel it. I feel like there was an awakening, like that was really my awakening at 10.
Wow.
And I just didn't realize it yet.
Wow. And then as you went on and you kind of trained yourself and you noticed that other people in your family are talking about this, when did you really step forward into your power?
As early as 21, when that tsunami hit Indonesia, all of a sudden these universal beings connected to me to assist to cross souls and to heal the heart energy of that, because there was a lot of sadness and a lot of from the families and this tragedy. There was 400,000 people that passed away during that, and all of a sudden the universal beings are sending me this energy and guiding me to send it to that area. And so I'm sending it to the area, healing the hearts of not just the ones who crossed away, but the families who lost, and helping. It was like a stairway to heaven. It was the craziest thing. All of these souls were so confused what happened, and they're all there, and we like whoever these universal beings were, and in connection with the heavenly realms, we're just assisting them, bringing them to the light, and bringing all this light over the area and guiding them into the light. And I didn't know anything about crossing souls at this point, and so it's just these gifts just started happening at a pretty young age.
That's pretty mind-blowing, because I think about that. That was December of 2004 when that happened. Yes, that was very tragic. I too had some strange synchronistic events around that day, but having someone to guide those souls over that's still in the third dimension, that's part of your role, perhaps? Do you feel like that's part of your role in addition to your other gifts? Like that was your role for that moment, but then there's other things you've unlocked about yourself.
Yeah. And then sort of like I started coming into tune with like there are other souls that are stuck in the dimension, like what people call ghosts or whatever, and that need help to get crossed over. They don't even realize they're dead. And so I've gone on many astral realm journeys to discover where these souls are and to bring them into the light as well. It's just, I don't know why that's a part of my role, but I guess I just have that ability to do that. So I've done it a lot on tragedies and school shootings and bringing in angels. It's the common theme is healing the hearts and bringing in healing into all the hearts, into all the families, and into the hearts of those who just lost their life, to heal the wounds of this tragedy, and then those who are needing to get crossed over to be brought up. And there's always angels assisting as well.
Isn't that interesting that sometimes these energy beings, these light beings, need a little extra external help from people like yourself to make it over there? Like somehow that's written into the design.
Well, you know what's weird is like, so before I began my channeling journey,
Yeah.
the divine just gives me this dream one day I was going to be a channeler, and that's a long story, but the short version of it is they trained me, they were giving me guidance, and then they showed me how to, through a past life regression actually, in ancient Egypt, how we would connect within the sun and the solar source within the sun. And what that actually is, there's a whole divine construct inside of the sun. The reason why you feel that love energy is because there's literally masters, angels, all these divine beings shooting out love codes and healing through the sunbeams. It's amazing. There's a source, a whole source within the sun that is pure magic, like heaven itself in a way. And so when I started connecting within the sun and meeting different deities within the sun, an energy that we're familiar with, which is Cleopatra, connects to me. And she starts asking me I was channeling her. She was bringing a message in for humanity at the time. And then she asked me, hey, can you give me a hand with something? And I'm like, well, with what? Well, with healing my life as Cleopatra. And I'm like, this is like thousands of years ago. You still haven't healed this yet? And she goes, it's not as simple in these higher realms as when you're on Earth. When you're on Earth, you can heal like what you can do in a minute. It could take us like 100 or a few hundred years to heal in the higher realms. And so I just have basically it's like unfinished healing. Because at this time I was trained enough to heal in past lives, and a lot of souls who are connected to armies and just like heal a lot, retrieve soul fragments, because when there's big trauma, there's some residual fragments that break off our energies, and so we retrieve them when we're doing these past life healings and stuff. So anyways, it's the first time I ever did a past life healing on someone who's been deceased. So anyway, I think I was working and I was seeing the different under her command, basically, and this trauma that was created. She was very powerful, but she was also ruthless, and there was energies that needed to be healed within that, and these different relationships that she had with different, I guess, the military leaders and people that went into these battles and stuff. It wasn't fully healed. And so I spent at least 20 minutes of my time going through that. And because I work so fast, I guess the equivalent of, who knows, maybe like 3,000 years of what it takes when you're in your light form as a soul to take care of some of these things that we've done in the past lives. So it's, to me, it put a big value and a meaning on what we actually do in this lifetime, who we affect, and to make things right, because we're not perfect and everybody makes mistakes, but making things right and owning up to mistakes and trying to not take on what I would call karma or things that need to be healed. It is important, and so that's an important thing in my life. I'm not perfect, and I make mistakes, but I try to make things right to those in the situations as best as I can. And then if I know I'm making an effort, I know that's better for me and when I transition into the light, basically.
Because you're saying essentially that it takes so much longer in a time sense to deal with things over there. Deal with it here and now. If you have the realization that you made a mistake, you grew, you raised your frequency, you've changed, you look back, you go, oh my God, I made a mistake. Go fix that mistake now. Don't wait, because it could be significantly more difficult in that other dimension.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it all has been shown to me. And so it's amazing how special everybody is, and this is why, like, Francesca, myself, put this book together so people can start tapping into that within themselves, because it is really the healing journey. Essentially, is raising yourself in your frequency, and then that opens up these other dimensions and these guide teams, and so it's not super easy to know where to go to figure out how to do some of this stuff. And so we thought we would do our best.
Well, I think you did a great job. I think both of you did a great job. I love this book actually because it is a step-by-step process to activate your spiritual gifts. You literally start from, okay, clear your space, create a sacred space, and then you go through all the different steps and different pathways. You can develop your sensitivities, connect with guides, connect with angels, but you do it in a way that's very palatable. It's very accessible for someone that's just like trying to figure this stuff out. They're having these sensitivity experiences, they're getting downloads, but they haven't like dialed it in. They haven't honed it in yet. And that's what I think this book is for. Just reading it myself, it really felt like a great place for people to start, to understand that there's other people that can feel these same things in that same way, that have had these experiences, and now they're here to guide you.
Exactly. But you have the best sacred space with that circle of crystals you have around you.
Thank you. A lot of our listeners, we do audio mostly. A lot of the listeners do not know I'm actually at a beautiful desk with crystals around me. You've probably seen videos on Instagram. That's how I do my podcast interviews. These are my crystal allies. They help me hone in and channel that information. Channeling, it shows up in a lot of different ways. But again, this is a step-by-step process. So you wanted people to have that interface point, this book, so they could develop that over time. Like, what are some of the things that are indicators for people that perhaps they should pursue developing themselves in this way? Like, what are some of the things that they might notice about themselves?
You want to speak to that, friend?
Sure. What you seek is seeking you. So whatever you're interested in spiritually, that's an indication that you should dive further into yourself and find what it is that's seeking you. So I was into everything mystical you could think of, and that just made me want to interdimensionally journey into myself and explore what topics interest me. And I think that this book really does a good job of empowering people to know that there are others with all these gifts, and it'll give you like a starting point to see what gifts you want to develop.
Right. Now, perhaps both of you can answer this question, because I noticed it was a big part of your book, is that learning to control energy, whether it's thought energy, reactive energy, just learning to get a hold of energy and understand it enough to control it is a big factor in developing your energy sensitivities and other things. Why is this such a huge factor? And what are some of the things that people can begin to do to control their energy?
It's huge. Your energy is everything, and your vibration is the most important thing, because if you keep raising your vibration, the better things are going to come into your now moments. So the chapter on sacred space, I always say, is so important, because sacred space not only is for rituals, it's for a way of life. Whatever you feed yourself, whether it's good programming, whether it's great people you're around giving you good energy, what you consume, eating live foods from Gaia instead of eating dead foods that aren't going to raise your vibration. Certain foods have a lower vibration. Certain shows will feed negativity into you. If you're watching violence, I'm very empathetic. I could never watch sports, even though my family is huge into sports, but like I couldn't handle it. Lowered my vibration to see people hurting each other. So it's really about focusing on the things that make your heart expand and open, and connecting to the things that you love. It's going to raise your vibration, and then beautiful occurrences are going to show up in your life pictures, because everything internal is a reflection in your outside world.
Right, exactly. But do you think there's a way to strengthen the mind or somehow create a kind of fortitude that allows you to then work with that energy more without the energy kind of taking control of a person?
Well, you know what I do?
Uh-huh.
I was going to tell you, I do this thing every day. I stay in God's heart and I keep centering myself into the energy of God. And I do that over and over and over again as many times as I need to, because there's no greater power than God within yourself. And if you keep focusing on that energy, it's the quickest way to raise your vibration. And I constantly remind myself, I look at someone like I'm looking at you and I'm like, wow, that person is me and we're both God. Like, how cool is that? And I keep like raising my vibration. And also there's a telepathic communication that occurs if you realize that I love you, I love everybody, you are God to me. I'm telepathically communicating to you, and it's raising your energy without you even knowing it.
Right. Wow. And David, were you going to say something?
The couple things on the controlling the energy. One time I was channeling in the sun, and I believe it was and I want to say all of the Egyptian gods, all of the Hindu gods, all of these gods are actual consciousnesses that do exist in these realms, um, because of some are actually created as these sky god realms. But the energies of Zeus came to me this one day, and I know it's Greek, but so I was open to it to channel those energies, and he was telling me, he goes, you don't realize how many fields of energy there is and that you interact with all of the time. And it's so important to be in your field to empower your creation, your essence, and everything that you are creating. And this gave birth to like the spiritual hygiene, and we do actually cover some of that in the book,
Right.
and how to cleanse and clear your energy fields so that you're not quantum entangled, let's say, with people that you come across that are going through major traumatic experiences, and all of a sudden you've picked up what I call like an energetic virus in a way, or a lower vibration from someone else's bad day in your field, and that is circling around in your energy. And so all of a sudden you might have been feeling great, but all of a sudden you're feeling upset or angry and you don't understand why. And so when you use these techniques to cleanse your field, you clear out those lower vibrations, and that puts you into your energy field. And of course, being in the heart of God energy is just pure love and bliss, and being in that is amazing. As well as what Francesca was saying.
Right.
And then just to quit, all I was going to quickly say was training your mind for the positive thoughts is very important, because just as Francesca looks at you as God incarnate and sends you love, and it raises your frequency, if you say negative things or think negative things, that energy goes to that person. And so in the spiritual hygiene, as soon as you have, let's say, because no one's perfect, sometimes negative thoughts come into the mind and we don't even know where they come from, and we're like, where the heck is this? I don't think that. And so you can quickly transmute it at its inception point, so it doesn't go over to people that you care about truly. Even if you're fighting them, you don't want to psychically attack them, and because we're all connected, and negative thoughts, arguments, and you're angry at them, it goes over to them, and then it goes into them. And so it's like clearing that is an evolution of humanity, and how we can respect everybody's energy by using the mind and controlling the energy and clearing it if things do happen, so that we're not attacking each other energetically. And that's just going to make better friendships, better relationships. And if you've had a fight with somebody, you can clear those cords and those energies. So you're, instead of being upset all day or all week about this fight. You clear it quickly and you're in your own fields, and then you have more of a peaceful approach. And so the concept of this whole evolution of going into heart-based reality and ascending on this ascension and this awakening on the planet, it is also about the empowerment of our consciousness and how we can use certain things to be respectful to everybody's energy and being more of a happier energetic state, more joy, because that frequency is similar to heart of God energy, and it just brings in that attraction into your life. In your friendships, you'll have more empathy because you care more about people's energy, and you will get that in return because what you give out comes back to you. And so it just makes everything better in your life. And I think it's going to be fantastic that more and more people are going to start working with this. And this is why we're so excited to put a lot of this information in sort of like a how-to manual in a way, or in the higher power book. So in a way that we explain it super easy so that anybody can do it. And whether they're super advanced or beginning, doesn't really matter. It's just amazing ways of being in great energy, which then just makes all of your friendships, your business relationships, your love, more empathetic, more love-based, more happier. And these are the things that we invite in. And what it'll also do is you'll care so much about energy that and your frequency that if you do happen to get into a relationship, let's say that your partner is maybe narcissistic and constantly talking down to you and twisting and being angry at you and demeaning and lowering, you won't accept it. And so you will avoid being in relationships that are not beneficial to your energy because you care about your frequency so much. And that could save you many months, possibly years, and a lot of financial burden, and just being happier. And what it does is it closes the door of people who aren't going to treat you right, and it opens the door to people who are going to, because you end up caring so much about your frequency and the love in others that you need somewhat of a freedom in your life, in the energy, in your frequency, and there has to be these boundaries. And it pours in this self-love and this whole new way of living and this whole new realization of relationships and business and friendships. If people are being mean, if they're being manipulated, it's not going to feel right to you, and your intuition grows, and you will cut ties to those toxic kind of energies if you do encounter them, because not everybody is super highly consciously evolved right now. But of course, when you care about somebody, you're going to be empathetic, and you're going to talk, and you're going to try to work things out. You're going to set boundaries. But if they keep breaking down those boundaries and they're not willing to honor your energy, you're going to be out of that business or love relationship so quick, because you're going to recognize it's going to bring you unhappiness in your energy, in your feelings, in your self-worth, in your joy. And these are the things that we are bringing forward to help people have more empowered lives, because this is what happens when you are connecting to this, your energy, and getting in control of your energy. You're more empowered to enjoy life, relationships. Everything just becomes more exciting, and you have more self-love, more self-worth, and as you go on this journey, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And you meet amazing people like you, like Francesca, and we meet all these people everywhere. And we will go on retreats, and we'll meet. Like, I have different groups. We'll meet up and we'll do these light missions to help cleanse the planet. And it's just evolved into a whole new way of living.
Well, lots to unpack there. There's a lot to say, but yes, it's true. We are evolving as humans, and as we evolve, our energy sensitivities are just naturally picking up. So we do have to create those boundaries. We do have to understand that there's different energy pushes and pulls based on different people's paths and where they're at emotionally, spiritually, and all of those things. And those can have an effect on us. We have to understand that as we develop ourselves. But like Francesca was saying, We always want to stay in that state of love. I often say you have to make loving a habit until it's automatic. You're just in that state of love. You see the God in everything, not just yourself, but everything in the other person, everyone, the animals, the plants. It's so beautiful. We're just a part of this creation and we're doing this specific work, but we have to really always start from that place of love. And as we evolve and as we tune our sensitivities, that foundation of the love-based perspective is what allows it to grow, is what allows it to flourish, because it can be confusing if you're a judgmental person, if you're someone that's just not developed for whatever reason because of your own path. Trying to develop these other gifts is going to be very difficult because there's a universal understanding, and that is that we're all connected, we're all one. So if that's the case, that's how we access these different understandings. But if we're all one, then we're all love. So it has to be rooted in that love.
Yeah, no, that's exactly true. Yeah.
So tell me some of the things, knowing all of this, what we just talked about, what are some of the shielding techniques that people can do? Because let's face it, it's very hard for empathetic people or very sensitive people to go to the grocery store and download somebody's whole life that they happen to be standing next to getting oranges or something. You know, like it can be very difficult to be that sensitive. There's so many of us like that out there. What are some of the shielding techniques that you can recommend?
I am a healed empath. I call myself a healed empath because, like, my whole life, I could feel the suffering of everyone around me. I can still tune into everybody's energies, all the plants, animals, humans, and I still can feel what you're feeling, but I did not have any type of discernment to what was their energy and what was my energy. So if someone was in a negative, bad mood when I was younger, I would immediately take it in because I was trying to transmute it and trying to make them feel better. I always wanted everybody to feel good and feel better. And I was super overly nice to everyone because I didn't want to feel their suffering anymore. And my whole life changed when I realized that you can shield yourself with a ball of light. So I have vision, so I can clearly see myself. For years, I would just put up a ball of light around me and know that no negative energies, entities, or low vibrational beings could come into my ball of light. And if they tried to, it would bounce off and send them love. I set the intention to send anyone love that was trying to send me negative energy so I could combat that. And another thing that I do is, like, say someone's mean on the road, and like I always get beeped at. I guess I'm not that great of a driver. But you know, at first, you know, you get a little like aroused in a way, a little like nervous when they're beeping at you. But I send love. So I constantly send love, and that transmutes all negative situations. But now I vibrate so high. I think the best protection is just keep raising your vibration, that I no longer get energetically attacked, because I was just getting energetically attacked by my own unhealed wounds coming up to be cleared.
So those people who are attacking you were just representations of that. And then as you healed yourself, which we'll talk about the inner child healing, the traumas, as you healed yourself, you then raised your vibration, and those external manifestations didn't show themselves on one aspect. And then the other aspect being the frequencies just didn't match. You were already so high that those lower behaviors, they just didn't match with your frequency. So they didn't show up either. Yeah.
People that even come near me, like people that are really negative, they don't even come into my awareness anymore. Only angelic humans come into my awareness, and high level channelers and
wow, I feel honored. Wow, yeah, what an honor.
You vibrate so high. Are you kidding me? Yeah, you are like a cosmic being of pure love.
Actually, very quickly, just to add to that, I took the test on your website, and just very briefly, I'll just say I got the score 5415, which was embodying love vibrations. That made me think about that.
That makes sense.
But please go on.
And I've even taught my children, I have a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old. And if I were to even say a negative word, they go, ew, you're ruining my vibration. You're lowering my vibration. Take that negativity out of here. So, and and I think those boundaries were so huge with people. Like people won't even say negative things to me because I tell them you're lowering my vibration, like, and I walk away. But like they know I love them and I'm doing it in a loving way. But as a healed empath, I used to just let my energy be drained because I just work so hard on learning everybody else, helping everybody else instead of interdimensionally exploring myself. And the more I explored myself, I broke through consciousness barriers within myself and just discovered that it's only one consciousness. It's source consciousness. And it's all different dimensions of source consciousness, either lower dimensions. You could be experiencing hell at the same time I'm experiencing heaven, just depending on how much you interdimensionally healed and explored your own beingness.
But do you feel like all of those things that you experienced early on when you were kind of like, I guess, figuring it out, learning to swim, essentially, do you feel like looking back now with hindsight that was all part of your process, your story that allowed you to get to the point you are today?
Definitely, it was all my wounding. It was all the things that I needed to grow from to expand my consciousness from the duality of learning everything that is not a representation of love, so that I could create new dimensions in myself from the appreciation of love when I receive love. I so appreciate when people are loving to me because of the depths of darkness and hell that I had to go through being an empath, and just, things that could happen to me throughout my lifetime. And I said that my density teachers were the best. The people that were the meanest to me or hurt me the most, they're actually my greatest teachers in love, because they gave me such an appreciation for love and they opened my heart more. Every time someone would hurt me, and instead of contracting my heart and opening it, I reached a new level in source consciousness and was able to just start creating new dimensions in myself. And then the cool thing about that is you can access the higher vibrational beings. The more that the more shadow work you do. And David is the master of shadow work, so he could definitely speak to that. He has a whole consciousness program about shadow work, and he's the one that taught me, because I'm like, I'm an angel, I don't need to do shadow work. What is this shadow work you speak of? And he kept saying you need to do shadow work, and he'd post like, people, you need to do shadow work. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this.
Well, let's talk about that. So these were two big parts of both of your book, inner child healing and shadow work. Let's talk about both of those things. What are they? Why are they so important to the evolutionary process?
Well, the inner child, everybody has their story growing up, and majority of the wounding coming, whether it is single parenting or being an orphan or abusive parents, it all stems down to innocence. The innocence that we are, being traumatized and not receiving the love that we truly needed as we were growing and discovering what this world it really is. And so the inner child healing comes down to the easiest way to do it, honestly, is to know that you have the power to go back in time and heal that child of yours and send it so much love from your heart, and just as it's discovering, and also in forgiveness to the parents in any situation, whether they just weren't there in the orphanage or the ones who were adopted that were not present enough, possibly this. and sending them love and forgiveness, but throughout the whole process, sending this child of yours this love. And as you go through that, you go through every scenario of growing up. And when you weren't getting the love, when that abuse or lack of empathy or the arguments came in, physical, violent, whatever it may be, that on the journey of the person, and you do have to send them forgiveness to release them out of you. And this is the power the Creator is given, that is within us, is that we can be unbinded by forgiveness. It's the most beautiful thing. And forgiving ourselves for the things, we're not angels either. As we get older, then all of a sudden what we've done is we've taken that hurt that we have inside in a lot of cases, and we projected it into our relationships or into raising our children in ways that are not healthy. And so when you heal the child within yourself, it heals the parent to the children that you have, and it also heals it within your family unit, and it opens up the doors of adventure. And the secret sauce of it is essentially, after you go through all of that releasing, is recognizing in all of these situations that inner child always goes and hides somewhere safe, somewhere in the heart, buries things to protect your own feelings, and saying things like, "Oh, I don't care," or "Oh, I'm scared. I'm scared, and then I don't want to come out of here." And they hide in the heart. And so when you are ready, you let that child open up all those doors that they are hiding in, and you invite the angels in to come, and you send in healing into all of those doors where that child is, which is all the memories and all of the records inside of your heart. And you get that child to come out and to heal that heart and to feel safe again. And you embrace that child, and you say, I'm not going to let you get hurt again. And then you end up integrating and becoming that inner child again, full of adventure, like that Peter Pan energy. Going to go off and play, and we're going to do things that are fun, and we're going to live, and we're going to be safe. And it just opens up the most incredible, magical life again. And it's some of the biggest moments. I can't tell you how many tears I've had when I had to heal all this stuff within myself, but it changes everything, and it's the most amazing. And the shadow work in its simplistic form.
I just want to stop you just for a second, David. I just want to touch on the inner child part. I just want to say that so many of us on this planet, because there's so many people here, as you say, close to 10 billion people, I say the same number myself. So many of us have had a traumatic childhood. David outlined some of the situations that may occur, but that does happen. But there's something about this life that we chose. And then again, as Francesca was saying, those external sources are some sort of internal manifestation. It's all quantum and multidimensional in that sense. But what I've noticed with all of the people that have been on my show, the hundreds of people, some of the greatest healers in the world had traumatic childhoods in some way, something that made them go inward to search, to do something that was outside of the norm. It's very strange, but I noticed that consistently. And healing that, you're saying, reorients everything, because that information is outside of time. Again, it's in the quantum realm. You are going back to your actual child self and healing and embracing and fixing that energy. Though it's not linear in that sense, it is happening in a quantum energetic sense. So please go ahead.
And clearing our ancestral lines. This is why all the star seeds came in and chose these hard lifetimes, is because we are breaking generational curses when we do that. And when we heal it consciously, it lets it go. And that goes forward, because it's like a genetic passing of energy. When you hold trauma, there are certain things that are in past lives, but there's certain things from your parents and their parents and the grandparents, and it goes on many, I think at minimum 4 generations of genetic transference trauma, and that's why so many people have abandonment wounds that need to be healed. And so, it's coming from even grandparents, and so when you heal it within yourself, it goes up those timelines, and then it goes forward through your kids. And so we're breaking these huge genetic barriers, and this is how the consciousness is evolving and shifting, because as you're saying, when you think of it as oneness, and that we're all one, because we are, when we heal it all up and down, these generational curses, basically, or this genetic inheritance of karma, basically, it frees and breaks the cycle. It breaks the loop so that there can be this more peace and love in our children and in their children and the children's and the whole collective changes, the consciousness changes, and so things will be better in the future. And these amazing rainbow children that are being born, and these indigos and these star children that are coming into, there's 12th dimensional beings coming into, like, that's just unheard of, that are incarnating. They're lowering their frequency to incarnate as humans, because we've hit this level now. And as soon as it's the craziest, coolest thing ever. And I've seen it. The guides brought me into this amazing, like, rainbow diamond child that was being born. And they're like, David, we got to show you something. And there's these different, like, ascended masters wearing these robes, and they're surrounding this child that was being born, and they're praising, and the angels are singing, and I'm like, what is this? What is this? And it's not like this child is a savior, because there's literally millions of these children coming in right now that are super special, but they're celebrating her because she's like this 9th dimensional, super high love frequency being. And when she is born on the earth, it just shoots up the frequency, and they're celebrating it because it's lifting everybody up, and it's a big deal. And that allows for all these other 9th dimensional beings to come in. And now at the stage we're at, we're even getting 12 dimensional beings coming in. And that's like massive for pushing things into this freedom as our oneness that goes through the collective. And this is why I do believe the Great Awakening and these huge awakenings, and things are shifting consciously across the planet. And this is why we're all here, as, like, I call it the starseed collective consciousness, and all these, and the Francesca calls it the 144,000 frequency of God. And so it's like the 144,000 and all these starseeds and the frequency of God all across the planet. We're here, and we create this grid as well, and we're just lifting everybody up, and it's super exciting to be here now and talk about it.
It is very powerful, because again, we are moving into that higher vibrational, higher octave new earth. And the star seeds, like you're saying, the collective star seed consciousness coming here to smash the 144,000, people talk about that as well, to smash all of those old habits and all of those old paradigms, break the traumas, and lift us up. That's why so many people like ourselves are coming, to lift us up so we can match the frequency of that new earth. It's inevitable. It's definitely happening, but the action is the most important part. Coming here, manifesting, living our life, going through the traumas, waking back up, reintegrating all this information. All of that is part of the process as we vibrate upward into that new place, which is going to be absolutely amazing.
Yep.
Love-based reality.
All the technology. I mean, we have all the stuff.
It's so amazing. It's so amazing.
Yes, it is, because when it's outside of time, that place, it ripples outward. Those frequencies are rippling outward from that place, and you can pick up those frequencies, and it's affirming. Just like when you were talking about people reading your book, and perhaps they already know these things. It's an affirmation. Read it again. It's an affirmation. It feels good. When you pick up on those frequencies, it's the same thing. It's an affirmation. You know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's guaranteed to happen, but we all have a role, and that role shows up in a lot of different ways, but usually, mostly, it requires taking action.
Yep. That's so true. We have everything inside of us, and you need to focus on the good. And that's why God gave us hands and feet to do action, to walk in that direction, and use our hands to make that happen, use our legs to walk in the direction of whatever we need to do. to make this happen.
Yes, and
And
we're
also
doing it.
for light language as well.
Yeah.
This is so amazing. I mean, we're having an incredible conversation. I absolutely love you guys. Okay, David, now tell us about shadow work.
Okay. So what I've discussed with different master consciousness beings is first that they say that everything is happening to you for you. So it's meant to, and they say it's meant to accelerate your life. And I always love that, because no matter what you're facing, it's meant to advance you. You're meant to break through it. No matter how hard it is, how hard, difficult it is, you are advancing, and it's meant to advance you. But the shadow work is, and to explain it into how I've come across it within myself and everybody as well. There are things that are happening in your life as well that, unless this is your first life to Earth, and I've met a few people that this is their first life, but most generally speaking, people are in the cycles of Earth that have been here for many millions of years. It's not as what people think in that humanity is 12,000 years old and the pyramids are 12,000. Those are just completely false statements. It's and it's so funny, because I've been talking about all these things I see in the past life Akashic records with many different types of humans, even 5 million, 10 million, as high as I think 50 million years ago. And people would think I was crazy. And then finally, there was a report that came out proving a humanoid of footprint. I think it was in a Greek island. I can't remember which one. That was 5 million in carbon dating years old. And that just blew what everybody thought was what history is. But so there's a lot more to this planet than meets the eye. But what happens in the shadow work is you shift out of the density. And one of the best ways I can describe it to explain it is, at first I was going through all my past lives, and I would heal one lifetime at a time, one trauma and these different things, and through the forgiveness and bringing in the heart healing, everything that the angels teach, to heal the hearts, to lift everything up, and to release the density using the forgiveness. And eventually I'm like, this is going to take me 1,000,000 lives to possibly heal all of my lifetimes. And then so I started connecting into the Akashic records and into the karmic points, and then working with all of the vibrations of specific energies to release it. And in one session, just to give it an explanation, I decided I wanted to heal all physical, all emotional, all sexual abuse in any of my relationships, whether they were family, whether they were love or professional, anything that is that. And I just started seeing myself as a woman, myself as a man, and in a million different views, screens of these, and fights and arguments and yelling and all these, and I was healing it all. And it took me like an hour and a half. I went through about 1,000 lifetimes and an hour and a half. And then I opened my eyes, and there's this cloud of density I could see with my two eyes sitting above my root chakra. I had literally just blown out my root chakra. First and the last time I ever did that. And these angels are swooshing in, taking away the density, and then we're bringing in golden light. But instantly, my feelings towards all of my relationships shifted in the way I think about them, the way I feel about them, the way I'm honoring them, because I just let out all of the dirty energy out, which makes room for the good energy. And so the shadow work essentially is getting rid of the dirty energy and coming into the good energy. And when we when you're seeing specific patterns of people that you are attracting in your life, whether it is you are betraying them, they are betraying you, or if scenarios that are happening with like maybe issues in employments and different things. There could be possibilities where in the past you've created issues for other people in employment, or you have betrayed these things that end up recurring. What I've seen is actually these final things that are coming up into your life to be healed now. And so when you start paying attention to these things that are happening that you are unhappy with, you can actually connect through it and clear out of your entire Akashic records, out of your energy. You get rid of the gross energy, and then the good energy comes in, the golden light, and which is the love frequency. And that is how you raise your frequency with shadow work. And I've not encountered one way that raises the frequency faster than doing this, releasing this great density and coming into this golden light.
And do you feel like
love frequency?
Do you feel like forgiveness though is such a huge part of it, right? You said letting go of that energy, but forgiving yourself, forgiving everyone, forgiveness. It's letting go, seeing perhaps the illusion, but if you're going to exist in the illusion, forgiving all of the negativity. And I've been taught that forgiveness means to let go of completely. And that is a huge thing.
That's the trick for shadow work. And the best representation about it, and everybody has this, you can intend to call in your Akashic record keepers to open up all of the lifetimes of war. And this will help everybody out. If there's one thing that the divine is like, okay, hurry up and get over this, is war consciousness, right?
Absolutely.
And I always see this, and I've gone through so many different, with everybody, and I've learned about history and all these different wars I didn't even know existed, and then seeing all the plans and the secret strategies of taking over and the planning, like it's been crazy, the level of war consciousness humanity is. But I end up going through it and healing it, and then when you forgive, and you see these different perspectives. You see that, like, in a lot of places, people were forced to go into war. They didn't want to go in and have to kill people, but they're forced to go into war. Otherwise, their family is going to get executed. Otherwise, they're going to be shunned. They're going to be banned. They're going to be exiled. All these different reasons. A lot of people, but then there's some people that just wanted to represent and be there for their country and all these different things. But generally speaking, most people didn't want to be in these wars. When I'm doing these clearings, and then so they get into this battle with this person, and when you're taking somebody's life, they're feeling it. They're feeling but it's them or the person standing in front of them who's going to survive, and everybody's thinking about their families, and they're put into these positions. But then there's this karmic thing when you take somebody's life in battles and these tragedies that happen, and it diminishes your life force in a way and makes you numb. This is why all this post-traumatic stress and all these different things come into play. But emptiness, disconnection, things happen when people are in wars, dissolving themselves from feeling even. But so when you open up these Akashic records and you forgive yourself for all wars, for all lives that you've ever taken into wars, and you just breathe in the light and you send that healing into all of your aspects, heart to heal the wounds within war consciousness, and then you send in the healing to send into all of the people's lives that you've taken to heal their hearts, and then you also forgive all of the people who have slayed you and taken your life in all wars, because then you heal both sides of war consciousness, one when you are taking lives and one when people are taking your lives, because there's no getting around paying it forward, basically.
Right.
And so you heal all of it and you release this war consciousness out. When that is done, when you truly do that properly, you will see that you've only been fighting yourself on the other side of the battle. And no matter which side, because you care so much, you want it to be healed in the side of the enemy, the so-called enemy, right? But you end up realizing that both sides are one, and we're just fighting each other. And this is the illusion. And so it's like, why would we ever want to harm ourselves? Why would we ever want to take lives? We were taking our own life in a way. And you're just, because if this happens to be the life, if you happen to be, and that you're taking someone else's life, you don't get off the hook. You're either paying it back because they took your life in another life, or you're going to have to pay it forward in the next life. And why would you want reality like that.
Yeah, the
Why would you
karmic
want to
baggage. Like, that's so much
Right?
karmic baggage. Don't do that. I mean, that's why Moses got that download from what he was perceiving as source. Thou shalt not kill. That was like rule number one, like one of the primary rules. Like, it's such a terrible energy because it disconnects you from source. Like you're saying, it disconnects you from the unity consciousness of all living things, including your human family. So you're attacking yourself, like you're saying, and it's such a terrible thing, but we don't need that karmic retribution. We don't need that karmic baggage. We can evolve past that. And that, I think, is what we're seeing right now. We're seeing it more than ever. The fact that we're even having this conversation, we're able to have hundreds of conversations like this with different people, is astounding. You talk about meeting on digitally on Facebook. I happened to come across recently the two Facebook groups, the Galactic Council of Lightworkers and the 144,000 Lightworkers, one of which had over 500,000 members. The other one had like 200,000. That is huge. I looked in those Facebook groups. The things that people are saying are the same things that we are saying now, which indicates all of us are getting these downloads. There's the people that are open to it, the people that have developed themselves, that want to pursue it, that follow the leads. They're getting that information now, and we are all opening and activating. And all of this conversation, taking action, podcasts, being in your local community, just even developing yourself, all of that is part of this process, moving into that new place.
Definitely. We're all expanding into our source consciousness, and we're all starting to embody that. In your source consciousness, you can tap into any consciousness that you want. And David, didn't you call it the free energy system? That like energy is free now.
Like free consciousness. And so it's like taking back our power as God creators, and where we give our consciousness, where we give our time, our attention, our heart, and the things that we choose, everything matters. And very soon, there's going to be a lot of things that happen on this planet with ETs reaching out and people having, because this year is slated to be the biggest awakening year of the entire, of all years, not combined, but there's somewhere in the close to 1 billion souls waking up this year. That's going to create such a forward in consciousness, all these higher dimensional beings. What ends up happening when this happens is we go from the closed heart system to the open heart system. And in the open heart system, the heart needs different reality. It's calling for a different energy, and the universal energies and the matrix, if you will, support that reality. So a lot of things are going to change. The ultimate thing, because we are here to break war consciousness,
yes,
is the peace on earth. The unity consciousness is going to rise, and new things are going to be formed because our heart is calling for end of starvation, end of homelessness, equality, people to be provided for, all these structures in love-based reality where people won't be under emotional stress, depression, or anxiety, because that's descending consciousness.
Right.
So we have to have a supportive reality. So when things shift and all of a sudden people just start reading the news, things are being provided for them. When this does happen, when we hit that level, and it will, I don't know exactly when, maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 10 years, I'm not exactly sure, but I do know in this year, massive shifts, ET contact, that's very positive, and the open heart system comes online, which then it's going to be interesting to see just magically things change, and these big differences that our hearts are calling for to experience as a collective.
Absolutely. And I think that open heart system, part of that is realizing, like you talk about that you both talk about in your book is that we are light beings first. We're light beings. We're living light. We're not our body. We're in our body. So when we realize that collectively, when we all start seeing each other that way first, before we sink into the other kind of temporal definitions of how we describe ourselves as humans, whether it's regional, ancestral, however that shows up, when we decide that we are the light beings first, then we unlock that level of consciousness. That's part of it. Seeing the light in everyone, realizing that not only are we all one, but we are all that living light, but also realizing that we came here to Earth for a purpose. A lot of people get here, and because of the traumas and the various things they go through, they kind of turn outward. And I would almost say like over focus on the higher dimensions, not remembering that they came here to 3D, the third dimension, to do third dimensional work. Yes, we want to expand and learn all of those mystery school teachings, the astral teachings, all of the angelic teachings, all of those wonderful things, but we always have to remember that those teachings, that information is meant to enrich the service that you're providing in the third dimension. That's why we're here.
Being
Definitely.
grounded, so important, because like you can't, well, you can, but it's not advisable to stay in like the angelic realms and the higher dimensions and neglect your family and neglect your children, walk away from your job and put everybody at risk. All these things, that's ungrounded. And so you nailed it to that the 3D life, no matter what you're doing, you can be away shore, you can be breaking the barriers of consciousness, but it's so important to be anchored into your life, to be grounded, and to use all of this divine knowledge to enrich your life and to have a different reality experience than it has been, and to know that we are all shifting into this amazing love-based reality construct. But being grounded in your life, grounded in your self-love, in your happiness, in your dreams, or in the love energies and expanding it, even if you're working a 3D type of job, it's totally fine because you're lifting everybody up.
Yes.
And bringing that heart energy up, and just being happy doing it, and being happy with your children, and or if you don't have children, just being happy with your family, and maybe going and seeing the siblings, doing things for the parents, whatever, doing things for yourself, for your happiness, for your joy. This is this grounded but higher consciousness way of being. I think we're meant to blend. Yes. So we got to dissolve the old 3D and to crack open this evolution into love base, but we not at the cost of the love for ourselves, the love for our family, and the stability that we need in the current financial paradigm that we're involved in.
And also just realizing that no matter what we're doing, it's all equally important. Even if you're just developing yourself, it's equally as important as a person that's teaching spiritual things to hundreds of thousands of people at the same time at some big conference or something like that. Anything that's moving the entire thing forward is just as important as the other thing.
Yep, we're only as strong as our weakest link. So we have to get everybody up to speed to raise the whole collective consciousness. And I wanted to remind everybody that we're not alone. We have a whole interdimensional team inside, and that you can call on them for assistance. You don't have to do this life alone. I don't do this life alone. When I was doing my shadow work, I cheated. I called in my galactic guides. I called in the Pleiadians. They came in, they pulled out all my conditioning. When I'm sad, I call on my angelic guides. Like, there are so many things, so much assistance energetically that we have. And I just want to remind everybody, like, even if your life is not going well and, you want to escape, you can call in guides to help you with the three dimensional life and to get grounded. Because if you don't ground into your life, then you're never going to develop all your masteries. But you definitely do have assistance available to you. And I think that a lot of people feel alone right now and have a lot of aches and pains because of the higher dimensional energy coming online and all the old filtering out. They don't think they can get through it because there's just physical pain that comes with us going into the higher dimensional constructs. And I just want to remind everybody, call on your angels, focus on God, and you will get assistance.
Absolutely. And your book actually outlines the techniques to connect with these guides, these people, these angels that are there to help you. You're allies. People say you're allies. You have allies in all of these dimensions. Your incredible book, the book that both of you wrote together, is absolutely incredible because it shows you step by step, people, how to develop these things, how to develop these sensitivities, how to then even go further with them, because then once you develop them, you can go into these other realms, such as David was talking about, the angelic realm, the fairy realm. There's other realms that you can tap into as you move forward in your spiritual growth and your spiritual development. All of these things, again, are in your incredible book. It's amazing.
You want to know a funny story?
So, yes, please.
I'm sitting in my basement, and I'm typing up the part like where you're connecting with your guide teams within and these different things, and I'm writing it in. And all of a sudden, this white light starts like I can see it out of my peripherals all the way up behind me, like as tall as the ceiling. And I look, and these angels start shooting out, and there's about 20 or 30 of these angels flying around my basement. And I'm typing it, and then at one point I'm like, okay, I stop typing, and I look behind me, and there's this huge archangel, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, what is happening here? Because this is like a weird experience, and I've never had so many angels in such a presence before. And a bunch of these angels shot right into the screen, into the actual text of the document that as I was entering it into which is in the book. And they tell me, we are just really excited that you're putting this information into the book.
Wow.
And I'm just like, and they put their frequency into it. And so at some point throughout the book, people are going to be getting blasted with this like frequency, because it doesn't leave. The angels like put it into the book. And I was telling Fran about it like one day, and I'm like, you never believe what just happened here, because it is not a normal experience, but it was definitely. I'll never forget it.
So as people are interfacing with the energy, they're reading it, kind of psychically connecting with it. It's charged with that angelic frequency by the angels themselves.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Your book is amazing, and the fairies and more.
We can't forget the fairies, because, I'm constantly in and out of dimensions. And like when I'm with my children, I'm going to channel the fairy dimension and the fairy realm so that I can bring more joy from that realm into my now moments. We can do that. We are omnidimensional beings. We can literally, our non-physical energy is in omni dimensions. We can tune into any energy and channel that into our 3-dimensional life. I look at the realms as like a mall. Like I can go into different stores every day and pull out like the energies that I want in my day, channel them, and then just see what manifests in my reality from pulling those codes like into my day.
Wow, that's mind-blowing. This is all, again, people, this is all information that you can find in this book. An incredible book, Your Higher Power, Accessing Your Divine Gifts, David Starr with Francesca Rose. It's available anywhere that you can get books. And if you go to the website, yourhigherpowerbook.com, you'll find everything about both David and Francesca. Courses, books, other information. It's all there. You can take the deep dive, because this has been one of those conversations where you're just like surfing the highest frequency and you look over and you go, oh my God, an hour and a half just went by. you're outside of time. That's what this type of conversation is, because that's what this type of energy is. And all of that is what they're teaching. Again, all found at that website, yourhigherpowerbook.com. Incredible interview, guys. I really appreciate your presence. Is there anything else you feel like we should leave people with before we go?
I have something, but Francesca, if you want to go first.
Yeah, well, I want you, if you have an activation, I want the viewers to experience that. Yeah. But I just want to say, just focus on your God energy inside. And if you focus on this energy, there is no easier, quicker way to upgrade your system and come into the higher vibrational constructs within yourself. I just want to always focus on God. Bring yourself to God energy inside yourself.
Yes, because I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to add to that. Right now, this is coming to me. A lot of spiritual people like ourselves, some have a tendency to put things on a pedestal, whether it's plant spirits, angels, other astral entities. Now, there is a thing about respect and reverence, but putting them on a pedestal in a way of idolatry, you could say. I always want to remind people that just put God on a pedestal. Yes. All of these beings are there, but they're adjacent to you. They're just a different type of created being. Focus all that love, that light, that energy on God.
Yes, those other beings that they're putting on a pedestal, those are just different energetic vibrations of God. So you can look to them to bring more fun into your life, to bring their energy, to make your life more omnidimensional. But you are a source, creational, eternal being. You are God. So focus on God energy to build your power up, to be in your pure, organic source light. And that is when you will have your greatest life, your happiest life, your most blissful life.
Yes. Wow. And David, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, because when the earth does shift into love-based reality, it's actually going into the crystal dimension, which is ultimate purity, uncorrupted love energy, where everybody is connected, and you will literally feel the light of God in everybody, and want to assist everybody to reach this like dream fulfilled life. Where everybody wants everybody to have the most amazing experience. It's so beautiful. And so there's an activation inside of everybody's hearts. There's, as Francesca, and it's in our book, there's many different source structures. There's the crystalline consciousness, source light. And so if you hold your hand over your heart, and on the inhale of your breath, you intend to breathe into that crystalline source light in your heart. And as you exhale, you send your consciousness and your awareness and your light into that crystalline source light to connect to this crystalline source energy being that you are, to receive all of the activations of the new earth dimensional construct that is coming through. And so basically you breathe on the inhale, you just take a breath in and just trust that you are going to connect with this through your intention. So you breathe, you can put your hand over your heart, you can breathe in, intentionally connecting to the crystalline source light consciousness, and all of the amazing beings that are in crystalline source consciousness. And you exhale, and your heart connects to all of their heart, all of these amazing crystalline beings in crystalline source light, which would include Lemurians, many extraterrestrials, and Pleiadians, and Lyrans, and even there are Arcturians. A lot of these beautiful beings, light beings, ascended masters, are in this crystalline source, and they're here to bring in this crystalline energy of this crystalline planet, to upgrade your energetic fields into these crystalline, beautiful crystalline energies, high divine light coming through to expand into your chakras and to illuminate your grids, embodying this crystalline dimension that we are going to ascend into. And this is just going to bring in so much light and divine connections, and connecting to your crystalline source light and aspect and love frequencies and these purities that come through, and all these divine beings. And you just invite them there. It's a whole collective consciousness, the crystalline consciousness, and you're part of it now, and you're connected to it. And this is where everybody is going to ascend into this consciousness and this crystalline dimension, as that is like the most beautiful. We're physicality. We will be physical. A lot of people think we're going to become these light beings in New Earth reality, which is not exactly true. Some people will actually become light beings, but it will be a physical experience still.
Yes.
In crystalline dimension, which is and love-based reality. So I just wanted to bring everybody, the guides wanted to bring everybody through that in today's activation.
Wow, that was absolutely beautiful because yes, I mean, even though we're going to evolve, you think about these galactics, they have the ability to move their consciousness to energy or matter, but matter is a place where things happen. You can have sense experiences. There's something interesting about being material. So we will probably, it seems, have that choice. Perhaps there's higher dimensions where it's just light, but as we evolve, we'll be able to integrate that into the new Earth. But as we all know, as things go on, it will just continue. So that's just one development node. Let's just get there first, and then we'll worry about what happens after the new Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fun begins.
Yes, exactly. Well, this has been such a fun interview. I absolutely love you guys. We are so similar frequency people. Want to tell people where to get the book again, Your Higher Power, Accessing Your Divine Gifts. yourhigherpowerbook.com. Go there, get the book, go to the website. There's courses and the Divine Ray app, a social network for spirituality. That's there as well. And I just want to thank you guys again for being here. You have really shed light on this episode. I deeply appreciate it.
Thank you. This was so much fun.
I loved every second, and grateful.
Yes, you guys will have to come back on. We need to have you guys back on. This is just the beginning.
All right.
Well, please hold through the outro music, and everyone, again, get the book. Check out the website, yourhigherpowerbook.com. Tell me what you think. Email me. This is so powerful. I love meeting people that are so similar in frequency because, again, it's so affirming to know that we're all out there doing something, taking action, making this new Earth happen together. So thank you, and we will see you next week. Midnight on Earth.